Would you pay $25 billion for a Snapchat filter? Amazon investors need to manage their expectations. And what happens to your brain in space? All that and a whole lot more coming up on Tech News Today.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and once again, time for Twit's audience survey. We'd really like to hear from you. It's only going to take a couple of minutes, really. That's all. Just go to twit.tv/survey and let us know what you think. Your anonymous feedback will help us make Twit even better. And thanks for your continued support.
This is Tech News Today, episode 1697, recorded Thursday, February 2nd, 2017.
This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by Grasshopper. Stay connected and run your business from your mobile phone with Grasshopper. To save $50 on your order, visit trygrasshopper.com/twit.
And by Epson's new EcoTank printers. With Epson's line of SuperTank all-in-one printers, you can print thousands of documents without running out of ink. EcoTank is loaded and ready to print when you are. Visit epson.com/EcoTank to find out more.
Welcome to Tech News Today. This is a show where we tell you everything you need to know about technology. Jason makes faces. Happy Groundhog Day. I'm Megan Maroney.
I'm Jason Howell. Don't know why I'm doing this. Probably to celebrate Groundhog's Day. I couldn't even explain to you the relevance.
Is your finger glued there? Okay, good.
Yeah, no. I tried. I had a little super glue right there. It just doesn't work. Every day I try and glue my finger to my face, and it just never works. Anyways,
sad.
Yeah, totally true. Okay, let's talk about some actual things that happened today, like Snap. It was only a matter of time, but Snap finally filed its S1 paperwork with the SEC, kicking off its much-anticipated pursuit to take the company public with a goal of a $3 billion IPO. So that's why I was doing the finger on the mouth. It was $3 billion. The stock will trade on the New York Stock Exchange as, well, what else? Snap, of course. In the filing, CEO Evan Spiegel controls 44.3% of the company. Zuckerberg, by the way, Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Facebook, by comparison, owned 28.2% of Facebook when it went public. So Snapchat, big deal. Co-founder and CTO Bobby Murphy also controls another 44.3%. Based on what this filing says, Evan and Bobby are each worth about $3.7 billion in company stock as of December.
Yeah, that's awesome. And
good for them.
This is good. Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about Snapchat. I think that the chatter on Twitter about Snapchat was not so good. I think there's, a lot of people thinking, well, it's worth that. It's worth what? Because what is it really? And, Alex Kantrowitz, we talked to him last week, and he said, don't bet on Snapchat. Don't bet on it. He wasn't giving financial advice or anything like that. But he has a great piece on BuzzFeed about 10 numbers from today. And one of them was that Spiegel borrowed $15 million from his own company last year from Snap. And he paid it back.
Got to get a pair of shoes.
Well, no, he has to have security. That's what it was for. Because, everybody. Okay. So I don't know.
It's a business expense.
I guess so. But this is, this could be it could be a good bellwether for the IPOs, or it could be the very top, and we're just going to go down from here. It's the biggest IPO since Alibaba in 2014. And this is the slowest year for IPOs since the financial crisis. So everyone is excited about it. Whether it's worth being excited about, I'm not sure.
Certainly have a lot to prove, right? They named themselves Snap because they wanted to get in this whole camera thing with the spectacles as being kind of like the kickoff of that. And what did I see here? I'm trying to find it in my notes because, wow, I took a lot of notes. Basically, the camera company that they are, and as part of the filing, Snap is a camera company. Meanwhile, all they really have are spectacles, limited release. They have plans to widen that out in 2017, but they even say in there, and it makes perfect sense at this point because it was limited release, that the amount of money that they've made off of spectacles at this point is immaterial to anything. So I just find it interesting that a company claims it is one thing when really it's only recently that one thing, and hardly.
Well, I think it means it's a camera company like the camera in the app. I think that's probably what they mean.
But But that's not a camera company. It's an app company. They make an app and a social network. I don't understand how you can call yourself a camera company if the camera is part of the phone and the app just like takes pictures.
Well, I think the camera is integral to the app, and that's the way some people use the app. They only use the camera. They use it all day, every day. I've seen this with younger people who eventually will be older and will be,
Nope. That's a lie.
This is ingrained in their lives. It's not chat. I mean, it is chatting, but it's all chatting through the camera.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so I think that's probably what they mean, because
I feel like it's a stretch still, though.
I don't know. I mean, because it's fundamentally different than Twitter or Facebook in that sense, that you are interacting purely through your camera with other people, whether it's video or still photos, with the filters, with the augmented reality like we talked about yesterday. I think that's what makes it different, and that's what makes it so appealing to mostly younger people.
Would you consider Instagram to be a camera company? Because, I mean, I consider that a social network. I mean, I consider Snapchat a social network / messaging platform. It's hard for me to, talk about it as a camera company. And I'm trying to understand why that is their choice. Is it because social networks are so, you don't really know the long-term effect of what a social network is going to be capable of? Twitter, as a prime example, probably had the greatest ambitions to take Twitter as a social network and broaden it out as far and wide as a company like Facebook has been successful in doing over the last 13 years. But it kind of hit a point where it's like, okay, well, we've got to really reel this back. Social networks, just in general, they catch a lot of fire early on. We've seen it a million times. And then it's like they either capitalize on something new or they peter out. Maybe that's why. Part of Snap's kind of plan to peg itself as a camera company is to kind of help it along with the IPO by putting it in a different category than just a social network or just a messaging platform.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that the other integral part of, the part why they're valued so high is their ability to advertise, and that's part of the camera too. I mean, you're adding the advertisements into the camera. That is very different than Instagram. There's nothing on Instagram that it's all separate advertising. But with
you're talking
Snapchat,
about the filters.
Yeah,
and
the
stuff.
filters.
Okay.
They've been the only one that people have accepted into the camera, that these advertising. But you're right. I mean, they have the whole Snap stories, and they have, they do have a separate, the New York Times now will have a Snap story. So they are bigger than that. But I think that what they're trying to say is this is what makes us different. At the heart, we are people's camera onto the world, which I don't love that idea. I don't love that people are living through the world by sending pictures of things. That means you're not actually living your life.
We've been doing that for a while, though. The whole smartphone generation has kind of has made that. Obviously the social network takes that to another level, but man, you go to a concert. How many people are recording the concert instead of watching it with their eyeballs? I know I'm guilty of it. It's just the plague of having a device in your pocket that can take a picture all the time. You feel like, okay, well then I guess I should be taking a picture all the time instead of enjoying what's in front of me. So that's they're all guilty of that, I guess.
Well, despite Apple's favorable earnings this week, MarketWatch says Google has stolen Apple's throne as the world's biggest brand. Apple now takes second place and Amazon third, according to the latest Brand Finance Global 500 report. The report measures brand strength, contribution, and business value, and estimates the likely future sales attributable to a brand. The report says, quote, Apple has overexploited the goodwill of its customers. It has failed to generate significant revenue from newer products such as the Apple Watch, and cannot demonstrate that genuinely innovative technologies are in the pipeline. Sick burn, Brand Finance Global.
Overexploited the goodwill of its customers. That's
what Brand Finance Global says.
It's an interesting statement. I feel like that's a little bit of an over. I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily true. I certainly don't feel that way. Everybody's always looking at Apple to out iPhone itself. Is that fair? I mean, Apple has a very rich history of taking, in many cases, taking a category that has existed and redefining it, or releasing something that becomes the definitive, by in many people's opinion, the definitive model of that particular category, and then coming to having great success with that. They haven't really been able to replicate that. I'm guessing they haven't with the Apple Watch, based on what we've seen over the last couple of years. Is it fair to continually expect that of Apple? I mean, it kind of has to live up to its own standard, do you think?
Not so quickly, I think. I mean, because I feel like that started, they were originally just a computer company, and the distance between, the original Macs to the iPhone was, that was many years.
Yeah.
And those were many hard years. There were many years where Steve Jobs wasn't there, and, people thought that this is the end of Apple, and it wasn't then, and it's not now. I don't, this is one of those things where I thought it was interesting to note that this brand global, whatever it is, through MarketWatch decided that Google now has more brand loyalty, and it was worth noting. But I don't know. I mean, I think you're right that it's just like people are looking for Apple to fail.
I mean, no matter what, every quarter Apple has earnings, and lately, anyways, Apple's done pretty darn good. It's had its little dips here and there, but overall, it's hard to say that Apple as a company is failing. You know what I mean? And there's always someone that comes out afterwards and says, "Oh man, that was just an indication. That was just a prime example of why Apple sucks." Google, I feel like, is at least in the sense of search, totally in a class of its own. Has been for years, and obviously that's good for search. That's good for advertising by an extension. It's really unchallenged in that category. Just because everybody has Google in their pocket now, and not just Android users. If you've got a smartphone, chances are the majority of people are probably using that device to search Google anytime they're thinking about anything or firing off a voice search, whatever the case may be. So I feel like, considering how much we live our lives on the internet and we depend on it, that definitely has a big reason in lifting Google up to that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Brand loyalty. I mean, people still say, I'm going to Google that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There we go. Mm-hmm. Cellebrite, the Israeli company that the FBI reportedly worked with to hack the San Bernardino terrorists' iPhone for access last April, was itself hacked last month in a breach of one of its servers. Cellebrite said some basic user information was taken, but Motherboard claimed to be the recipient of 900 gigabytes of data that was leaked to them by a hacker, and actually that data included technical information related to Cellebrite's products. Now we're seeing that the hacker has released the cache of data to the public. And basically, it's kind of like a statement. He's claiming to use this release to make a statement that the creation of these kinds of tools will always reach the hands of the public. It's kind of like, it kind of harkens back to the backdoor discussion from early last year, where it was like, well, why don't we just create a backdoor that goes around these protections so we have it when we need it? And the argument was, of course, well, if you do that, eventually, for better or for worse, those tools end up, have the high likelihood of ending up in the public's hands, and then it makes everything way less secure as a result. And so this is apparently a statement along those lines.
Yeah, and it's a chilling statement, and it's true. And those kinds of backdoors aren't even making us more secure. It's not a good trade-off. And there was a chilling quote that the hacker quoted to Motherboard. He said, quote, "The debate around backdoors is not going to go away. Rather, it is almost certainly going to get more intense as we lurch toward a more authoritarian society." And so, I mean, I just read that and say, anyone who doesn't think politics and technology have anything to do with each other, just think about that, because that is definitely scary. I mean, we really, if we thought things were dangerous last year when, the FBI was trying to force Apple to turn over the iPhone, it's just getting worse, and you can see it in the news every day. So, and this story, I don't really understand exactly what they're saying. Are they saying that the Jailbreak community created and shared, like sort of open sourced this thing that Cellebrite then took and sold to the FBI for a lot of money? And then,
kind of. Forensic scientist Jonathan Zdarsky basically says that when he was going through the code, much of the code that's in there, based on just this leak anyways, is publicly available jailbreak code for iOS. And that if that's the case, then Cellebrite, not Cellebrite, is pulling, that code from these community created, code banks, let's say, and using them in their tools. But what you get out of this, from what I understood from reading through this, is not necessarily all of Cellebrite's tools, right? They've kept some of the most important stuff in-house, stuff like, being able to crack current models of the iPhone as one example. So it's hard to say how much of that code might be at least partially, populated by publicly available code from the Jailbreak community. But from what I could understand, at least based on the data that was leaked here and the tools that were contained within there, at least part of that was filled with kind of reused Jailbreak code from the community.
So Cellebrite's kind of making out. They're just taking what people already have freely online and then charging the FBI millions of dollars for it.
Well, I mean, I'm guessing, totally guessing that that's a part of it, right? If there is already code out there that makes an iPhone that was really difficult to get into more vulnerable, which when you do jailbreak, you're weakening security of a device, then maybe that's just one more tool in their belt. They probably, I have to imagine they have other proprietary methods to get in there as well, and it doesn't just stop with, the publicly available jailbreak code. That might be just one way. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I understand that it was a hack in the chat room. Tinker Toy Tech is saying, no, Megan, it was a hack. I understand that Cellebrite was hacked, but what I'm wondering about is where did Cellebrite get all this information, and are they just like really fooling everyone by taking what's freely available, selling it to the FBI, and making a whole lot of money? So
I have to imagine that the FBI has already has also taken a close look at jailbreak code. Because they're looking at anything that makes their job easier to be able to either weaken the security on a device to gain access to it for a number of different reasons. If that's already publicly available, that's probably a good starting point, I would guess.
I would hope.
Yeah, I would hope. Exactly.
Google and Apple can both help you waste time searching your images by keyword, even if you haven't gone through the arduous process of tagging them. But Facebook has announced that now they will let you do that too. Now, we've known that Facebook has been working on this kind of artificial intelligence since last year, but now it's officially here in our Facebook feeds. In a press release, the company unveiled Lumos. That's the new machine learning platform that Facebook engineers can use to train and deploy new models for dealing with photos. It's a great way to search for dog pictures on Facebook, as I am wont to do. Mm-hmm. It's an even greater way for Facebook to learn more about us, to feed us more appropriate advertisements. The real advantage for Lumos will be for accessibility. Lumos will help automatically add alt text for people who can't see the images and who want to understand what those Facebook images are. So this is great for anyone who is visibly impaired and wants to use Facebook. I did some searching. I tried it out. I tried it. I put pictures of me, and it came up with pictures of me because that's the first thing you search for.
Did it do a good job describing what you were doing or what was happening in the picture, or it
just brought up the pictures.
Oh, I got you.
But it's still, I think, I don't know if it's fully rolled out, but I don't think it's actually. I know it's not fully rolled out. I tried babies and dogs, searching for babies and dogs, and I got a picture of a glass of wine that one of my friends posted with the caption, "Hair of the dog baby."
Close.
No, so it was clearly just going for the text. It did not know that was a glass of wine.
It sounds like it had nothing. It had no knowledge of what was in the picture at all. It was just purely based on the.
Not smart enough to know what hair of the dog means yet. Please don't teach it because we don't need it to know that.
We don't need Facebook to suddenly get really drunk. Yeah, I mean, Google open sourced something very similar to this last year. Show and Tell was the name of it. It was an image captioning technology in TensorFlow. That was last September. In that case, more than 90% accurate. And the same kind of goal here is to really just kind of make images on the web and in on these social services that are becoming more and more image heavy, make them usable as an accessibility feature of the service, so that more people can understand that that's not just a picture, but that's a picture of two dogs on a beach, chasing a Frisbee or whatever. And they're getting really good at this, at least in Google. It seems like Facebook is kind of, in some ways, playing a little bit of catch up here from what Google's been doing the last couple of years with its photo search in its Photos app, which is just super dynamic. Like, you don't even need to tag anymore. Who wants to tag?
No.
I hated tagging when it was the thing, and I hate it even more now because you don't need to do it anymore.
No, yeah. Well, Apple does it too. Have you experienced Apple Photos? Have you been playing around with it?
I haven't been playing, no.
Yeah, because they'll do it too. It's not as good. Nothing's as good as Google. And I never tire of just putting weird searches into Google Images and see what it'll come up with. I like just fooling it as much as I can to feel like I'm still slightly smarter than the machine.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of like what is the one super random thing that I've taken a picture of over the course of the last 15 years that a really nice search would pull that one image. Like, I don't know, Ladybug or something. I don't know. I mean, but it's getting that good, right? Like it gets down to the the type of dog. Let's say it's getting really crazy. Q4 is arguably one of Amazon's bread and butter quarters thanks to holiday sales. And in fact, Amazon had said previously that this holiday registered record sales for the company. But Amazon missed on revenue expectations, pulling in $43.7 billion compared to an expected $44.68 billion. Amazon also missed on its biggest moneymaker, that's Amazon Web Services. AWS revenue saw $3.5 billion versus estimates of $3.6 billion. The stock fell nearly 4% in after-hours trading as a result, so very reactive on this. But, I mean, this is a 27% jump in revenue for the year compared to last year. $136 billion this year, $107 billion the year prior. So, I don't know. Sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah.
It's this whole expectations thing just kind of always blows me away when we talk about earnings.
Yeah, they had higher expectations. They needed
we expected you to do amazing, and you only did 3 amazings.
Right, and profit was up, and they say the revenue miss might have to do with shifting to third-party marketplace where they're moving away from being the seller of things to some random, person being the seller of things. So yeah, I don't claim to know about how the markets work, but it seems to me that Amazon is doing fine, and manage your expectations, people.
Yeah, and I mean cloud business. I mean any of Amazon's success lately, much of it anyways, is because Amazon was very forward-thinking on very particular but super successful ideas. Cloud, for example, AWS, they were super early on the cloud. It's Amazon's most profitable business. And other companies like Google, Microsoft, still trying to catch up. Microsoft with its Azure, now focusing heavily on the cloud, but that's only because Amazon, has just been doing crazy good with that. And then, of course, the Home Assistant, the Echo. Amazon was beat a lot of the others to the punch on that one, and as a result, they're enjoying a lot of third-party support, which increases the value of the device, and building out a nice social graph on the back end of how people are using it and how it all ties together. So, good news.
And in other news, I took the liberty of searching Ladybug in my Google Photos.
Did it work? Do you have one?
I might have, but it came up with a picture from June 12th, 2013 of my boys holding up a crab.
Oh, well, that's okay. Ladybug, crab, totally the same thing.
Crabs are from the bug family.
Okay, let's see here. Ladybug. What do you know?
That was in your photos?
Yeah.
Did you take that picture?
I don't think I ever took that picture, but apparently it's synced in my library.
Yeah, here's mine.
Oh, it's a Sony picture. That's right. Okay, I know what that's from. Not quite a ladybug.
Not quite.
This was like a desktop on Android phone that I reviewed, and I think all the photos from the desktop images, for whatever reason, uploaded to my Google Photos. So that's what that is. But it was still a ladybug.
Yeah. See,
points. You got it.
I'm still smarter than the computer, so I feel good.
Yes, good.
After the break, Gizmodo space reporter Rae Paoletta is here to talk about black holes and astronauts' rescue dogs. But first, let's take a minute to thank Grasshopper, the sponsor of this episode. Grasshopper is a virtual phone system designed for entrepreneurs. Grasshopper works just like a traditional phone system, but requires no hardware purchase. With their iOS or Android app, callers can reach you wherever you are on your mobile phone. Grasshopper allows you to keep your existing number so you can maintain your brand. That's always a good idea for a small or bigger business. When you make a call, your client will see your Grasshopper caller ID instead of your personal phone number. All you have to do is select a toll-free or a local number, then record your custom greeting and add multiple extensions for your business. Toll-free numbers are great for marketing and make your business sound more professional. Set up department and employee extensions with custom call forwarding to any phone in the whole wide world. Get voicemails emailed to you as audio attachments and send and receive SMS text messages from your business number. So join over 250,000 Grasshopper customers today. Plans start at just $12 a month, and you have a 30-day money-back guarantee. Turn your smartphone into a business line with Grasshopper. To save $50 on your order, go to trygrasshopper.com/twit. That's trygrasshopper.com/twit, and we thank Grasshopper for their support. So yesterday, the rogue NASA Twitter account posted the official NASA photo of astronaut Leland Melvin with his dogs, since I'm still not sure which rogue accounts to trust and which not to trust. I did a little research and I found that Gizmodo space reporter Rae Paoletta had spoken to Melvin about the photo, so she's here to talk about it and a few other tidbits of space news. Welcome to the show, Rae.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming on. So first, let's talk about this amazing photo of astronaut Leland Melvin and his 2 rescue dogs. What did you learn about it?
So first of all, I learned that Leland has certainly lived up to his title as coolest astronaut in the galaxy. He is absolutely amazing. I learned that he actually snuck his dogs. There were 2 rescues, Scout and Jake, into NASA to take this photo. He bribed them with bones to be good boys, which they were, of course, as evidenced by the photo. And the photo dates back to 2009, but it's been circulating the internet since and making people smile. I know that I look at it sometimes when I'm having a bad day, and I hope that other people had the same reaction.
So what else did he has some books coming out. What are his books about?
So he has 2 books coming out. One is an adult book, and the other is a children's book. They're both coming out in May, and to my understanding, they'll be talking a lot about his life.
I don't really have a question, but a comment about the photo. If you go back to the photo, I don't know if you still have it, Brian, and you go ahead and full screen that. I think my favorite part of this adorable picture is the fact that the dogs, they're all holding hands. Like, and I don't know how that happens, but anyways, it's a great picture. If you zoom out on that, you'll see it.
Yeah,
maybe it doesn't. Yeah, you can hardly see it in this crop, but yeah, pretty awesome.
Yeah, you definitely read Ray's article because the description of how he got them in here and what it took, and it's just definitely very interesting.
It's like Mission Impossible.
It is. It's like a movie, actually. When I was listening to it, I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is going to be a movie in the next 5 years, and I will produce this movie myself if I need to.
Well, let's move on. I know there's some identical twin space studies going on with Scott and Mark Kelly. Scott Kelly spent 340 days in space, and his identical twin agreed to undergo these tests to see the effects of space on humans. What have they found so far?
So they found a couple of things that are very interesting. One of them is they've found that space is possibly causing gene shifting, which is interesting. Obviously, in the past, we've learned that certain physical effects due to space flight include vision changes, things like that, even changes to the bones, which is why astronauts exercise so much. But we didn't really know about these gene shifts, so that's very interesting. We learned that Scott, who obviously just spent that year in space, came back and his telomeres, which are the protective caps on the ends of his chromosomes, actually got longer, which surprised the scientists because they thought that telomeres are associated with aging. And since they thought that because of that the telomeres would shorten. So it all goes down to even chromosomes. We're seeing that space affects people on even that level. So it's pretty remarkable stuff.
I imagine there's been a lot of attention to the obviously the effects of space travel on humans, and especially prolonged space travel. Are there any theories that point to space being like, I don't know, a cure to an ailment or something along those lines? Like, hey, well, this particular very random thing is happening inside of your body. Obviously, the best thing to do is to send you to space.
Is boredom an element?
It's good enough for me. I'll claim to be bored if it means I go to space.
Oh, me too. Oh, my goodness. I mean, I think that there's actually a lot that we don't know. I think at this point, it's still more questions than answers. Actually, this week, I wrote another piece that just the timing is interesting in this case. But it was about the brain and how space flight possibly affects the brain. And we've never conducted any studies about how astronauts' brains change, which is interesting when you think about how important the brain is to all of our functions. But we're learning that gray matter in the brain, sometimes the volume of gray matter actually changes. In some areas, we're seeing it increase due to spaceflight, and in other areas, we're seeing it decrease. And that could be due to the body literally retraining itself to move in microgravity. Okay,
so gray area decreasing or increasing. I mean, are either of those things in and of themselves bad for brain development, let's say?
So that's the $1 million question at this point. They are the women who I spoke to at University of Michigan. One of the authors on this study, her name is Rachel Seidler. She told me that she's working on a separate study right now where she'll be monitoring astronauts for up to 6 months when they come back from Earth. And that will really tell us if these gray matter levels return to their pre-flight levels. So obviously right now we're all really excited about all this talk to go to Mars. I know I want to go to Mars. But it's important to find out before we jet off how our bodies are going to be affected, because unfortunately we aren't exactly set up to go to space. But we're going to fight our biology all the way, or at least I will.
So what about black holes? You also wrote about black holes are getting easier to find. Where can I find one? Because I would like to have one.
Yeah, let's take a trip.
Well, there is one at the center of a supermassive black hole, at the center of the Milky Way. So if you're willing to make the trip, and you can go there. But the ones that I specifically wrote about are neighboring galaxies, and these were studied by folks at a university in Japan who were looking for more hidden black holes, because black holes, as you may or may not know, are, as I call them, the strong silent type. They're very difficult to find, even though we know where they're there. We can't really see them. So they were looking at molecular clouds that surround some of these black holes for answers.
Well, Rae, thank you so much for joining us. If you have any interest in space, definitely follow Rae Paoletta on Gizmodo. She is their space writer, and she can also be found at Paoletta. That's Payoletter on Twitter. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Absolutely. It was a lot of fun.
Take
Have a
care.
good night. We got some feedback. Clinton actually commented on yesterday's episode and our discussion surrounding the watch that we talked about that can help people with socially awkward conversations, situations, that sort of thing. Clinton writes, I have some general anxiety disorder issues, and large crowds are definitely one of them. Most trips to the grocery store become too much by the time I have only a few items left. I feel you on that. Something like this would definitely tell my wife, yes, your husband needs to get the hell out of here now. And in that regard, maybe that's what it could be. It could be a device that lets your significant other know when it's time to remove you from an awkward situation. Maybe it's not you that's monitoring. It's your significant other. They're like, okay, it's time for me to step in. Let's take a walk.
Yeah, I think I'm familiar with that situation
Yes.
where perhaps one of a couple stays longer than the other one wants to. And it probably for me would need to be that,
Okay,
that
gotta go.
kind of, I think my husband would probably like the electric shock on my hand, because I could stay anywhere and talk to people forever. So that is a good use. Hopefully you've copyrighted that so that you can do that.
Yeah, you can come up with your own app for the Apple Watch, maybe. I don't know. Competition is a good thing. What's up with Firefox OS? Well, turns out not very much. But first, let's take a minute to thank Epson, the sponsor of this episode. Epson's revolutionary cartridge-free EcoTank line of printers for home and office introduce a new age in printing. The EcoTank ET4550 wireless all-in-one printer does not use ink cartridges. Instead, it features an innovative refillable ink tank that earned it the title of CES 2016 Innovation Awards honoree. So no more getting frustrated that you're out of ink, running out of ink all the time. It's always at the worst possible time. You need that ink. It's not there. It's a big bummer. Here, this actually includes up to 2 years of ink. That's equal to 11,000 black pages or 8,500 color pages. You can now save up to 80% on ink with low-cost replacement bottles. It's powered by precision core printing technology. It has auto two-sided printing, as well as a 30-page auto document feeder, and easy wireless printing from tablets and smartphones, so you can send that doc right from your mobile device to the printer and get it out on paper. All EcoTank printers deliver an unbeatable combination of convenience and value. With Epson's EcoTank line of printers, you'll have the freedom to print without running out of ink. The Epson EcoTank system was actually named the 2016 Small Biz Windows Printer of the Year. So visit epson.com/ecotank today to transform the way your home, your office, or work group prints. For the best combination of ease and value, turn to the Epson EcoTank printers. That's epson.com/ecotank. And we thank Epson for their support. Epson, exceed your vision.
TNT's fan of the day is Doug Austin on Twitter, who says, my daughter is very concerned about tech news. This is one of my favorite photos because she really does look concerned.
She's know.
Most certainly watching us and not watching the toy that is between us and
She's watching
her.
you, Megan. You're on the screen right there. You are up there, and she's watching intently. Mm-hmm. She's probably watching you, watching her right now.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And Doug says #girls in tech, which I always appreciate. Show us how you watch or listen to Tech News Today. Just record a video. Take a picture of your setup. You can post it on Instagram. If you use Google+, post it there, or Twitter, or Facebook.
But not Snap, not Snapchat.
Well, you can post it on Snap, but then you also have to email it to us.
Yeah.
That's me. Like, I post things on Snapchat, but then I have no idea I like the feedback of knowing someone's seen it. So then I post it on Twitter so that I know. But so you can do that. Post it all the places.
Sure.
Use the #HowIWatchTNT. We will find it.
That's right. We will. Firefox OS. Oh, I hardly knew ye. Mozilla is scrapping its plans to bring Firefox to places outside of the browser. They're laying off 50 people in the gadgets group. Firefox says it's shifting focus to the Internet of Things and away from commercial products like phones and TVs. Of course, Firefox killed off its Firefox OS phone project a year ago. Never really saw any movement on that in that regard. And they say that they're just kind of focusing more on emerging technologies. Things like, I guess they have a AI. It's called Mozilla Deep Speech AI. So they've got an effort there because everybody's doing AI nowadays. Also a Project Vani, which is a voice interface similar to the Echo, except in this regard, it doesn't transmit any data to the servers. So it's more like a private, Firefox definitely has a history with kind of having an attention towards privacy. So that might be part of what they do.
I'm a big fan of scrappy little Firefox.
Oh, yeah. They could take on Internet Explorer. I know they can do it.
They're just, they're a nonprofit still, right? So, they're like a nonprofit Google. So they have a lot of ideas, and I want more of them to succeed.
Yeah, it's not like they don't have a lot of people working there. For a nonprofit, they've got 1,000 employees. They've got all sorts of different initiatives that go beyond just the browser. Do you still use the Firefox browser?
I do not ever use the Firefox browser.
Ever?
I guess I should put my money where my mouth is, and use, not money, but I should use it.
Well, if by money you mean using it, and maybe that makes them some money in some random way.
I guess I could download to Mozilla.org. Donate.
Yeah.
Not download.
Yeah.
Download and donate.
Download the browser and then donate. To Mozilla.org.
I could.
I use Firefox every day. But only because I've got 2 screens at my desk here, and I know that I could do the private browsing thing to open up different Google accounts that are completely disconnected from each other, but I just prefer to have like Chrome on one side, Firefox on another, each one signed into a different account, and been doing that for years. So I'm okay with it. Yeah,
that's smart. That's wise. It's good that you respect your own privacy like that.
If you need me to show you some secrets, some tips.
No, I think if we've learned anything this last month, it's that I just don't like change.
I understand.
So don't make me.
I understand. I feel you there. TNT records live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, midnight UTC at twit.tv/live. You can be part of the show by emailing us at tnt@twit.tv. You can leave us a short voicemail at 260-TNT-SHOW and find us on Twitter at Tech News Today TV.
And it is time for our yearly Twit survey. We want to hear from you so we can serve you better. Head over to twit.tv/survey and be heard. You can find all the ways to subscribe to our show at twit.tv/TNT. And if you want to see us in person, please do come. We love to have a live audience. Just email.
Like 100 seats in here that we need to fill.
Right. There's 200 seats and only 100 of them are filled. Can't you hear the crowd? None of them are filled.
They're all talking right now.
Yeah.
Don't they know it's a show?
Go to tickets at twit.tv. Fill those empty chairs. And if you want to tweet at me, I'm at Megan Maroney.
And I'm at Jason Howell. Thanks to our technical director, Brian. Thanks to Alex for helping out in the studio and scrolling words and all that kind of stuff. Thanks to Kevin for editing the show. And thanks to you for talking tech with us today. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye, everybody.